Hello, I'm Marc, I'm the host of the Channel Chat podcast show, and this is a special series during this COVID crisis where we'll be sharing the learnings, best practices, and failures and successes of all the channel leaders throughout the tech industry. So sit back, listen, and enjoy. Hello, I'm Marc, I'm the host of the Channel Chat podcast show, and today I'm in the virtual studio with the Global Vice President of Channel Sales, Jeff McCullough from Park Place Technologies. How are we doing, Jeff?
Very good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Good, and obviously one of my is Marc ready. How are we doing, Marc?
I'm very good, thank you.
Good. So, Jeff, I'll start off. Obviously, the last few weeks, I've been asking everyone about how they're dealing with the COVID crisis, and it's the hot topic at the moment because obviously no one can go out. But I did want to delve in a bit more because there's going to be a lot of companies now that have spent their IT budget on actually just getting remote working solutions, whether that's just laptops and desktops and headsets and all that sort of stuff. So unpredicted IT spend that they might now have got no spend. What are you seeing currently from those customers now they've potentially spent their budget, but maybe they still haven't got the infrastructure or the solutions to get to their data centers or the IT equipment?
So great question. As things started to become more in focus for the market for customers all around the world, they quickly moved, and Park Place is a great example of that. We have a very office-centric culture. Everybody shows up, works in an office, really collaborative, and everybody went home on a Friday and showed up Monday in their own home office and started working. So getting our people up and running with laptops and IP phones, headsets, same as every other customer's going through. And to the extent that wasn't part of our plan coming into the beginning of our year in terms of how we budgeted, it's the same challenge that every other customer is seeing. They did not plan to move their workforces for large customers, obviously in the tens of thousands. People who have worked in offices, certainly have computers, but work with a desktop, aren't really designed for mobile, for working out of a home environment, having monitors and keyboards and headsets and everything. So big expenditures that were unplanned that has consumed a lot of the IT dollar spend. And what we've seen is customers are really coming up with some tough problems, right? They need help figuring out how do they stretch the infrastructure they have. They can't spend money now on refreshes and upgrades. So they need to figure out, how can I take this platform that's coming up on year 3 where I would normally refresh, and bringing it into year 4, 5, 6. That's what we do. That's all. That's a big part of our business is supporting customers' infrastructure in the data center. We have customers that are looking for ways to reduce costs. Working with OEM maintenance, we can offer a really great value proposition in terms of a great customer experience, same level of infrastructure support, arguably we think a better level of infrastructure support, and help customers take 30, 40, even up to 50% of their maintenance costs out of their budget. So those are real examples of ways that we can help somebody who's struggling with these challenges. And then finally, where customers can't show up anymore, right? Or they can only send a few people into the data center at the time to support social distancing and making sure they're keeping their employees safe. We bring a complete set of remote monitoring tools. So, instead of walking around the data center looking for flashing red lights, right, when there's a failure, we'll be able to provide remote monitoring for the entire infrastructure we support, as well as products that we may not be supporting directly, but we can certainly provide monitoring support for. And you can do all of that from, a home office. You can do it on your phone because we have a mobile platform as well. And so some real interesting tools, some really interesting solutions that can solve some really tough problems right now.
Are you seeing as well that some of the bigger projects are being put off now, or are customers being forced to sort of really tackle these problems head on now because we're all forced to work from home and we're all forced to work remotely right now? So, some of the customers in the UK have been seeing that, some of the big infrastructure projects have been put off and put to the sidelines, but yet some of the main challenges around, can I get into my data center, or I've got security issues, etc. They're having to deal with now but some of them haven't got the cost or the money to do it, the dollars to do it. So how are you in that sort of that judgment between, damn, I've got this big project, but I want to put it off, or actually I've got this problem now, I need to sort it out right now?
Yeah, well, I think for just about any enterprise customer, well, any customer, frankly, who especially is dependent on their IT infrastructure, the thought of going without support, right, is pretty unconscionable for most people, right? They would not tolerate that. And if you're up against, I mean, we've seen customers who have, maintenance contracts, over millions of dollars. And if we can come in and cut that in half, those real tangible savings. I mean, for some customers, that's the difference between being able to keep their infrastructure running reliably or not. So, and I'll only gauge it by the influx of demand we have seen just in the last month. Our business is doing well, and I was just reading today, the CFO of Xerox was making some comments about, this isn't the year we planned for, but it's the year we got. And this is not the year we've planned for, but I think we're in a great position because we have this everyday value, right? What we do right now is no different than what we did before the pandemic, and it won't be any different after the pandemic. We bring great service and support for customers. We help them do it in a really cost-effective, efficient way. We deliver monitoring tools that allow them to monitor their infrastructure remotely, and inclusive now of network management, where we can not only monitor network management, can also provide optimization capabilities with our Intuity acquisition that we made last year, which is a great UK company that Park Place had been working with for quite a while. And we love the technology so much, and we saw it as such a critical part of our vision, our longer term vision, that we acquired the company and are working now to bring Intuity not only to our existing customers, but to net new customers that never even thought of working with Park Place in the past. So, our value proposition, continues to develop and grow, and it's very much around helping customers, empowering customers to take control of their data center management, do it in a real cost-effective way, and empower their users to be, really productive. And get great outcomes.
And Jeff, you would have seen, you mentioned that you've obviously had more inquiries at the moment. So if an enterprise customer has got millions and millions of pounds they're spending on their maintenance, and they want to reduce that if they can, how are you getting those dialogues with those customers when in the market it can potentially distasteful trying to go after new business when people are worried about keeping their infrastructure on? Are you just seeing inquiries coming to you about these sort of projects?
Yeah, we have a lot of, in fact, we look at new customer growth, and we're seeing really strong new customer growth rates just in the past month. And I think, and if we look back historically, in 2008, in the 2008 recession, global recession, we saw, an uptick in business, and I think, so a couple of data points. Yes, we saw an uptick in business because people are looking for more cost-effective ways to get the same kind of result, which is what we can do. But we also saw, from that growth, from the growth in 2008, 2009, we saw a really high retention rate. And so, what I think of is we engage with customers and help them solve the problem they have right now, right? I have a problem, I don't have enough budget. I have a problem, I can't get infrastructure refreshed. We'll write 6-month contracts. We'll write a 3-month contract. We'll do that stuff where the OEMs won't do that. So we can be super flexible and really help somebody, through a jam. But the great news for us is that our high retention rate means as we engage these customers, they really become customers for life. And we pride ourselves on the great customer outcomes we can deliver. We have a super high customer sat score. We're in the 93, 94, upwards of 95 through this pandemic. In fact, our customer sat scores have been almost at 100%, the high 90s all through the time. So we've been able to deliver a really high level of support, and our SLA execution is 96 to 97% normally, right? So we have a great product, we deliver a great experience, we can do it very cost effectively, and for the channel partners listening in, we can do it very profitably for them, right? So when you're having trouble selling things nowadays, not only just the shift from on-premise to cloud, but for the on-premises infrastructure, we can provide a great solution that's profitable for our partners. It's an annuity model because we always renew with our partners that we do business with, and we're double-digit margin points on the business we do with our channel. So it's very, very profitable for partners. And again, you get great customer outcomes, so you always know your customer experience is going to be great.
Perfect. And I only just noticed before we did the podcast that you joined in February. So is that right? You just
I just joined in February.
How is it over being a VP when 2 weeks later this pandemic has come out? It's a real eye opener.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I was fortunate, at least in the the first couple of weeks that I was on board. I jumped in immediately, not only spending time in our headquarters location, but just getting out and meeting with our partners, visiting some of our remote offices, as well as just getting out and meeting some of certainly our largest partners, but quickly getting a good appreciation for what makes Park Place great, but also getting an appreciation for where I think we can take this business. As I said, I think we bring a great customer value story, and I think we bring a great partner value story. Part of what I'm doing is building a plan to take Park Place, for the next 5 years into what we consider to be, continued fast-paced growth. So, there's some things that, our business is anywhere from 40 to 50% indirect, higher actually in Europe. And so we have I'd say we have a good channel business today, but I think it can be a lot better. And I think we can be a lot more of a valuable partner to a broader number of partners out in the market. So we have some great partners, and we'll continue to have those great partner relationships. And I think there's opportunities for new partners to discover what we do, discover the alternatives we bring, and really understand how we help customers solve real problems every day, right? Pandemic or not.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of hiring, Jeff, obviously, before we went into this pandemic, people could do video conferencing, but they weren't doing that for interviews really, unless they were in remote locations. But people were going into offices. Has your hiring strategy changed for Park Place? I know you just joined. I know you're probably setting out your plan as well. But has your hiring strategy changed while you're in lockdown and while you're actually doing this on getting people on boarding and stuff like that? Is it had to change?
So like any company, when there's significant shifts in the market and turbulence, you think through a little more carefully where you put your dollars in terms of hiring. And we've made some strategic hires on the channel side of the business. We continue to hire at a pretty good clip on our sales organization. We just brought in our new, our class of 2020 that started their training, and we normally bring them in every day. We put them through 6 months of training to become salespeople, and we generally hire early career folks right out of university, and for a lot of folks this is their first role, and so we have to teach them how to sell, not only to sell our products, but just how to sell, how to engage, how to problem solve with customers and question, get the details, do all the right things that a salesperson should do, ultimately trying to figure out how do you bring value and help somebody. And so we're going through that training right now, but we're doing it virtually, right? And so we've adjusted our strategy and our focus. We don't want to let up on the pace because continuing to develop and grow our business. And we do a lot of lead passing to customers. One of the first questions we talk to with a prospect is, how do you like to purchase? Do you have a partner that you like to work with? Who is that partner? If they're not a partner, we can engage that partner to get on board and become a Park Place partner. If they're an existing partner, we work with that partner to work the opportunity. So our sales folks are very much focused on developing the business, engaging channel everywhere we can, and the onboarding of those folks it's different. It's certainly a lot more of a challenge than what we're used to, but I think we're working through it for sure. And I'm pretty impressed with the ability, just in the 3+ months I've been here, impressed with the company's ability to onboard salespeople and really deliver a good functioning sales organization every year as we grow.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, challenging for you because you've only been there 3 months or whatever and jumped into this role. Well-being for your staff, that must be quite a challenge. Obviously, I don't know if you've managed to get around to meet all your staff at the moment or if they've been in other countries, but how are you actually coping with it in making sure that the mental health of their staff, of your staff, are actually is being looked after?
Yeah.
It's all right with these, when they're office, but if we can't see these people, it's after work we're having problems as well.
Yeah, it's interesting for myself personally. I've worked out of my home office here almost my entire professional career. I live outside of Chicago in the U.S. Our headquarters is in Cleveland, Ohio. And as I said, most of the people work in our headquarters location. We have offices in Denver. We have offices in the UK. We have offices in, many countries. But, obviously for like any company, employee well-being is number one, right? You want to make sure you're not putting your employees in harm's way. And certainly for all our office personnel, we've moved everybody into home office and are, encouraging everybody to follow local guidelines on stay at home and social distancing and the like. Now, obviously, we have a delivery business, right? And that delivery business at some point means somebody has to show up and do something, right? And even there, we work with customers in terms of what they're willing to do. Some customers right now don't want people coming in, so if there's a service event, we'll work with them, understand what their challenge is. Sometimes we'll bring a part to them and hand off the part, and then they're going to go do it, and we'll walk them through it over the phone if need be. Some countries have requirements in terms of people moving around, and so we've literally the first day of our work from home, we put our business continuity plan into execution. And across all of the countries that we operate in, we've aligned to local requirements and guidelines, have documentation. We have all the PPE, the protective equipment, to all of our service delivery people, and then are monitoring our delivery team in terms of their well-being and how they're doing, and and anybody who's has potentially might not be feeling well, we're putting them into, we take them out of rotation and make sure they're staying home and healthy, et cetera. So, I think we've done a great job of making sure we can deliver at a level that, more than our customers would expect right now, which is why, we're getting 100% scores on our customer sat survey. It's just because I think a lot of people don't expect us necessarily to be able to be responsive, but we've been able to maintain a level of support. We're doing it, right by employees, keeping them safe, keeping them protected, but also making sure we're delivering, the service that our customers paid for and are counting on. Because, the last thing you want in this environment is a data center crash or some mission critical platform to fail. And that has obviously ripple effects for our customers. So we want to be there to help them through it.
Great. And my last question for you, Jeff.
Yeah.
We've seen in the UK, and I've had a few conversations with the US as well, that it seems to be coming in waves at the moment. So wave one, oh my God, let's grab as much kit as we can and go home, etc., and try and work from home. Wave two was actually, seems to be the norm. I need some more permanent solutions. And just recently, over the last 5 days, I'm just seeing some of the customer reactions coming back to sort of say wave three is actually around processes and analytics that they actually need to actually say, do I need to go and speak to Joe Bloggs and accounts and sign this, or do I need to streamline these processes, and do I need more access and better infrastructure? Because this could potentially not just be the new norm. It could be just that's how we're going to have our business in general moving forward. Is there anything you're seeing, or are you seeing it in waves at all in terms of customer reactions to you?
Well, yeah, I think there's the general kind of ups and downs. At least I would characterize it as, and maybe it's just sort of the stock market creates, levels of confidence and levels of despair, depending on how it's going. But I think in general, a lot of, at least for the U.S. customers, which is again at Park Place where I've only had a chance to spend my time, and I look forward to being able to get over to Europe and down the road as things start to open up again. But here in the U.S., I would say customers have been very much focused on practical solutions to to the kind of the here and now. I certainly in the new infrastructure acquisitions, I looked at things like, Intel with their latest earnings, they talked about enterprise or data center, purchases as being, probably under pressure for the remainder of the year. Certainly the second half of the year, they anticipated a either stagnation or decline in that business. And so, that's kind of telling to me to say that, there's probably a lot of customers who are probably more interested in conserving cash, not making significant expenditures, and making sure that they have enough capacity to ride whatever the next 6-7 months bring. And I think that to me is maybe the most prevalent situation right now is, how can we conserve cash? How can we put off expenditures that we don't need to? The platform we acquired, or installed 3 years ago, it's probably going to be good for another year or two. It's kind of like a new normal, right? Whereas, when cash was, money was inexpensive, right? Debt was low cost, and there was always ways to get, dollars. It was easy to refresh every 3 years, right? And stay on the front end of that. And now I think people are kind of rethinking that strategy, and saying, hey, this platform is certainly good enough for what we need to get done. There are other things that we could probably focus on in our business to get, to improve our value proposition, increase our, our capabilities. IT, I think in total IT infrastructure, on-premises infrastructure, despite the shift to cloud, despite all of the rebalancing of where data centers sit, I think customers have, I think they recognize they have invested a lot in their on-premises physical infrastructure, and it's great infrastructure, right? There's, the utilization of that is, I think everybody feels like, hey, I'm trying to stay below 50% utilization on my entire physical plant. And, there's no reason why you can't run it at 75-80%, especially when you're trying to conserve cash and be smart about your money, and leverage the infrastructure to do what it was meant to do. So, again, we see it's a great opportunity to help customers understand the value we bring, how they can make those investments last longer, get more more return for their investment, and then really help them rethink how they approach data center management, because we think we're unique in the opportunity not only to help customers repair and keep the infrastructure up and running, but truly manage it, what we call DMSO, which is, which is our, story around discover, monitor, support, and optimize. So we can help a customer discover their infrastructure end to end, manage that infrastructure, alerts, events, both in terms of real events, something's broken, and false events, which, for a lot of the times we discover customers had an event that they thought was catastrophic that wasn't. We can support them through that experience with our resources, and then we optimize the environment, making sure that it's up and running and giving them recommendations. Today we do that for the infrastructure, we do it for networking. You'll see us move into the operating system layer, so we'll be able to provide those services for operating systems and then applications. So we'll be able to take the entire stack from the physical plant all the way up to the application level, provide proactive monitoring support services for it, and do it all multi-vendor, which to me ultimately is the biggest differentiation from what we do and any of the OEMs do. My big differentiation is I do it for all platforms, right? They only do it for their own. We do it for everything, right? Everything that we support. So, and we have 16 tier 1 brands that we support in our business, plus a lot of others that we engage with as well. So it's a unique value proposition. It's a great story. And again, for channel partners that have been working with us, they know it because they see the customer experiences, and they also know it because they see the margin that we bring to their business.
Jeff, just on that customer experience side of things, you've seen a lot of the kind of reseller salespeople that I speak to, their biggest kind of hurdle with customers is the financial constraint and trying to spend the minimum they can kind of technology-wise. Do you think kind of business owners be more proactive now, making sure they're kind of prepared for situations like this moving forward, or can there be a bit of a mind shift change?
I mean, I think that's to my earlier comments about, we've gone over the past, I think since, we came out of the recession in 2008, right? So, 2011, 12, you started to see this, hangover in terms of the cost of cash or the cost of money. And I think it really spurred people to just sort of spend a lot on infrastructure because it was easy to do. And without getting into the politics of share buybacks and other ways that companies have leveraged their dollars, I think in general, a lot of companies are going to be more considerate about how they spend, reset the bar of where ROI is, right? Because I think for a lot of people, 3-year investment, refresh it, the ROIs make sense. I wouldn't be surprised to see customers thinking about 5-year, 6-year ROI stories, and be a lot more pragmatic about their dollars. And as I said, leverage the infrastructure for what it was meant to do.
In order to get the newest episodes as soon as they're released. Otherwise,
Jeff,
as always,
one other question I've got. The pace of technology is moving so fast now. New vendors coming out into the market, new products coming out to the market, etc. It's impossible to keep up with the pace of technology across the whole suite, whether it's mobility, IoT, storage infrastructure, etc. How are you and your company now putting out into the market so you can actually cut through that noise and actually get those interactions? Because at the moment, it's so much different perceptions of what's right and what's this. And unless your brand is really standing out, it's very difficult to actually stand out in the IT world. So how are you, from a marketing perspective, going to stand out in that market?
Well, I think if you think about Park Place, for a lot of people, they immediately, if they know Park Place, they'll think of us as a third-party maintenance company, which is not wrong. But what we're focusing on is really what I just talked about, right? Our vision around DMSO, which certainly builds on our core business of maintenance, but it really expands on top of that our focus on the discovery capabilities, the monitoring capabilities, supporting and optimization. It's really a complete value chain that we bring for any customer, any data center customer, to support their environment. So our job is really helping people understand why we're different than traditional third-party maintenance company, right? Third-party maintenance is certainly where we started, but that's not where we see ourselves ending, right? We see ourselves really being a new kind of customer partner, right? And the fact that we go to market with our channel partners is, I think, brings even more power, because the great thing about partners is they bring choice, right? The only, at the end of the day, and I don't want to say the only value they bring, but certainly for customers, when they look to working with channel partners, high on the list of why is partners bring choice, right? You talk to an HP person, they're going to recommend their stuff. You talk to somebody from IBM, they're going to recommend theirs. You talk to a channel partner, and they're going to be able to talk to you about a variety of solutions. And so, from my perspective, I think the channel is, always the best route to market for customers, because they absolutely get choice. And when we, compare ourselves to other people in the business that, kind of do what we do, we really want to differentiate ourselves on our DMSO story, right? Our discovery, our monitoring, our support, our optimization capabilities, and how that's across multiple vendors, and how that's a very unique and differentiated solution than either other maintenance provider, third-party maintenance providers, or what OEMs can provide. And so, we want to stand on our merits in terms of our success as a maintenance provider, but then our vision as a digital data center, partner. And it's, and that's honestly why I came to Park Place, was the opportunity to build a channel program and approach to help drive that vision, drive that strategy, because I do ultimately think our business can do great things for partners.
Yeah, because I'm right in thinking you did the recent acquisition of MCSA and Maindeck, wasn't it, in the UK? Was that right?
Right.
Did you buy those guys?
Yeah. And that's how we entered into the market. If you look at our acquisitions over the past 3 years, a majority of them have been into non-US based companies, right? So as we expand and grow outside of the US, and that's a really important factor, right? Because for a lot of the companies we work with, large Fortune 100 companies. They're not all sitting in one place, right? They're multinational. They need to figure out how they can deliver a support experience. And for us, we want the support experience they get here in the U.S. to be the same that they get in Dubai or Singapore or Brazil. And so, our strategy has been to be strategic about where we acquire, grow our global footprint, expand our capabilities, and then continue down the technology path of developing IP that really enhances everything we do.
Great, Jeff. You've been a fantastic guest. We're actually, when you're in the UK, you're the park office is only literally 5 minutes from our office. So
okay, good.
They're about 5 miles in High Wycombe. So hopefully we can meet up in person. But you've been a great guest.
Oh, thank you. I look forward to it, and I appreciate you having me on. Thanks.